Hey my beautiful friends. So I am back to do a review-ish, sort of, on the Hourglass palettes that I mentioned in a previous video. I just thought I would do a compare between these two and kind of an overview of just in general the Ambient palette, because I do know that they constantly come out with those annually at least, or maybe twice a year, and they are a pricier palette. And so I know a lot of people wonder, if they're worth it, if they're not. I also did want to mention that I finally got my hands on the new Urban Decay Quickie Concealer. I just have to pick it up, so I haven't had a chance to do that yet. I'm going to do that this evening so that I can do a video on that tomorrow, so please keep a lookout for that. Kind of thinking about doing maybe Shape Tape from Tarte on one side and that on the other, since they are both concealers that claim to be able to be used for like a full foundation purpose, and claim to be really easy, smooth, all that kind of good stuff. So I think they will kind of be a good head-to-head situation, but we will see how that works. So I'm excited to do that one for you. But for today, I have this, and I wanted to do just kind of one on one side of the face and one on the other. Now, I do realize that these may not be specifically ones that are currently available. They may be on Beautylish or Hourglass website, those kinds of things, but there's always a version of these typically available, and you can get the gist of what you need to as far as how the quality stacks up to the price point, things like that, because these typically run anywhere from $80 to $85, I believe, depending on where you get them and which version it is. I believe these last year were about 80. I think this year they were either 82 or 85. So somewhere in that price point range, a little bit high on the price range for a face palette compared to some that you can get. I have a multitude of brush options here that we can work with, different ones, angled ones, small ones, big ones. And the reason I say that is because a lot of people have different choices of what they use in brushes, but also the one thing about this is the pans in these are not overly ginormous, as you can see. They are kind of smaller, and that's great for a travel palette that gives you all your options and all in one kind of deal. But it can make some brushes more challenging than others. If you're using a ginormous brush, like a big fluffy blush brush that you would normally use for a single blush, it may not fit in this pan as well. Just be forewarned about that. So I've done my face, as far as just like I slapped on some quick eyeshadow, lipstick, and I just used the Tarte Cloud Formula whatever foundation. I'm not even sure what it's called, but that's all. It's just that. I didn't even put setting powder or anything like that on it, because these are all powders, and allegedly you're able to use, these powders, and this powder as kind of a overall setting powder. So that's kind of the thought. Now, these are also supposed to be flexible in regard that you can use them however you like. Some people use them, these specifics, for just like under the eye setting. Some people use them all over the face. It just really depends, and these come in a multitude of colors. So these are probably lighter versions. They probably did have a darker version. I'm not sure how deep they've gone in the past. Now this year I do know they did a much deeper version than they typically do, which is great for our darker skin gals, because for a while I know Hourglass was kind of poor on their range with that kind of stuff. But as you can see, I'm pretty fair, so I'm certain that I probably picked one of the lightest ones when I was picking. I'm just guessing. So they may have had a moderate tone or a darker tone than this at the time. And I do know, again, this year it came out in 3 versions, a light, a medium, and a dark. So the options were there this time if you're looking for the version of that. But again, I'm going to do one side of my face with one palette and one side with the other, just to kind of give you the difference here, because one of them is the marbled version of their products, which some people really enjoy. Some people enjoy the just softer, you know, version that's not got that marbling to it. I'll be honest with you, I don't notice much difference. I find all Hourglass products, personally to me, and you have to take that with a grain of salt because I love bling. Okay, I love shiny things. I love foil eyeshadows and glitter and whatever. Okay, but I find all Hourglass things to be very muted, understated. So it's a nice, if you're, you know, a work day, if it's something that you're going to that's an event that you're looking for a more subdued version of something, this is the way to go. It's going to be much more subdued than like putting on a super bling blush or you know, a highlighter that is made to highlight to the heavens, or, you know, highlight to filth. You know, if I'm going to do that, I'm grabbing like, you know, like a Jaclyn Hill or something, you know, an Ofra, something that's like blinding highlight. I'm not going for an Hourglass. Let's just put it that way. So to me, none of these are going to be over the top. That's my opinion. I guess it depends on where your level of over the top is. Of course, everyone's different, but that's just my opinion. So we'll get started here. And I think, you know, with me, and I know I'm just kind of like, I love this Tarte brush, you guys. I know it's the same one I used if you watched my video before where I did get ready with me quick products. I keep this in my to-go thing because it's so useful. It's got angled on one side, the other side you can use both sides for something different. So I do love that brush for anything that is a multi-use type palette, because I think you can just get so much use out of it. But for this purpose, I will go with this brush, which is an angled type brush. And I'll try to use this bronzer on this side. So this is the Ambient Lighting Edit Universe. Looks marbly. It's pretty. It's a pretty palette. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to, you know, dipping in here. And I'm going to kind of try to just, you know, whoa. Wow. Okay. She's pigmented. Okay. I'm going to try to take it like they normally do around your forehead and around here. But apparently this brush is either denser than that other one I'm used to using, or I just did not remember how pigmented this was. But the pigment is certainly there. You know, I do know that Hourglass palettes do last forever. And, you know, I haven't used this palette in a while, to be honest with you, because I have a little tiny one in my travel thing that I take everywhere. And I have a Viseart one that's the same size. It's a little travel with a 3 blush, bronzer, and highlighter in it that I take with me everywhere. So I hate to admit that I don't grab these as often as I should because they're wonderful palettes. But they do last forever. So as you can see, you know, hopefully you can get a good look. It does give you a nice bronze. It's a warmer bronze to me. You know, this doesn't look like a cool tone bronze to me. It's warmer. That's my opinion. Now, for me personally, I don't use the set down powder for my whole face. It has like a sheen to it, and I am a matte queen. I like to set down everything with like a translucent powder. The only thing I like highlighted is where I put my highlighter. So for me, I don't use this or this. And to me, this is just like a softer version of this, because they both kind of seem to have like some sort of not glittery feeling, but more of a shimmery type look to them. But I am going to use the lighter of the highlighters, or more blingy, let's say, of the highlighters, to try and put a little highlight here just so you can see what I'm talking about. And that's this, of course, this one up here. Oh, down here for you. Down here. So you can kind of see, hopefully, you know, what that's looking like. I want to highlight the center with that, but, and then I have this brush, and this came with Tarte too, but it's also like you can make it bigger or smaller, to depend on how, you know, how intense you want your blush, but also because it can be smaller, it will fit better. And what I typically do, this is just my choice. Of course, you can do whatever you want, but I mix my blushes together. They're already kind of a marbly mix, so I kind of just take a little bit of each. And there is kick and pan. So if you're expecting no kick and pan, you know, and then what I do is after I get it on the product, and as you can see, it's barely touching it and you get a ton. So you have to be very careful, you know, really with this stuff. But I do think it just fades out nice and softly. So you can blend it in very softly. But it does give you, you know, a lot of pigment. Again, you get a lot of pigment out of this product. You get a lot of kick up, but you get a lot of pigment. You know, the one thing that for me, I would say is because I'm such a huge highlighter fan person, this just doesn't give me the highlighter I want. It just does not. But that's just me personally. Again, if you are a person who doesn't want super highlight, you're tone it down, then this palette may be absolutely perfect for you. The bronzer, I think, does a nice job. It's in, you know, it's a nicer bronzer as far as being able to be blended to be soft as you want it, or if you want it more intense, obviously you saw when I first put it on, you can have that intensity. Now what I will do is, just for the sake of the video, I'm going to take this flat brush, and I don't even know, I think this came out of BoxyCharm or something, but I'm take this flat brush and I'm going to go down this, and I will show you just kind of under the eye, which is where I see, you know, a lot of people use this on the Hourglass page. I've seen them show this to brighten up under the eye, you know, kind of if you don't use it all over your face, and it's supposed to add luminosity. Now, I do feel like it kind of brightens up the eye, but other than a setting powder, you know, a lot of times I'm kind of hesitant to use a lot of powders under my eye because I'm afraid it's going to like settle into fine lines and wrinkles. I don't know. That could just be me. But again, you know, this palette is a good palette. I enjoy this palette. I think the quality is amazing. I think that the staying power of it is amazing. I think that it is a nice, subtle palette. I think it's going to last you forever. And it's all in one. So it is super travel friendly. It's super convenient. You know, if you're looking for one palette that's going to get you through, and you're not looking for, you know, a super bling highlighter, and these are the colors, you know, or whichever one you choose of their ambient palettes has the colors in it that you're happy with, you're content with, then I think that's going to be great for you. I think that's going to be a good palette for you. No question about it. But, you know, if you're somebody who wants, you know, really intense highlighters, then this may not be the thing for you. You know, if you only like half the colors in it, it's not worth your money. It's not going to be worth the money if you can only use 2 out of it and you still have to pack something else, because then it's losing its value of the convenience. You know, then you've got half the products for the same amount of money. You know, you're still having to supplement, you know, so it just makes sure that it's completely usable for you in all ways, and all of the colors are colors that you're happy with, and that you enjoy the subtlety of the nuanced colors that Hourglass is known for. That's my spiel on that. Now this one I feel is even more subtle with its color scheme, with the exception of the highlighter. The highlighter on this one, to me, is more, a little bit more blingy, but this one is a different layout. So in this one, you kind of have, like, this, for me, is almost a bronzer, rather. For some people, if they have tanner or darker skin tone, this could be more of a highlighter or setting powder type thing. It just depends on your skin tone. But going with these blushes and this color scheme, for me, this is more like a cool tone, light bronzer, like a Hula Light almost, if you recall that with Benefit. But for me, what I do is I mix these two as my bronzer. I mix these two together for my blush. And then this is supposed to be your setting powder, which again, I would just put under the eye if I did anything with it. You know, or I needed to touch up some greasy spots, let's say, you know, where I've got some grease oil sticking through on my oily T-zone. And then, you know, as far as the highlight, obvious what you would do with that. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that kind of, I'll use those same brushes to kind of make it even. But again, I'm mixing as you can see, mixing these together, just a quick run through, and I'm doing one of these, and she's, again, I'm heavy handing it because I guess I'm just not used to either how dense this brush is compared to the one I use, and again, I'm also not a makeup application professional. This is just how I do it. So you do what makes you feel good and how you like to wear it, of course, you know, but it blends out pretty well. So if you feel like you've overplayed your hand rather, you can always kind of blend that out. But again, I think with mixing and too, if you need to lighten it up too, you could always go with the lighter over it, maybe kind of touch it with the lighter, kind of play with it the way you want on that. And then same thing with the blush. I go in with the brush here. You know, I'm going to mix these two together. This one, I don't notice as much kick and pan. But you do see barely touching it. I mean, I just went a couple times over it, very soft handed, and you get this. So then it's like brushing it in. I open the brush up so it's, you know, a softer brush to it. But I mean, even still, their blushes rather are pigmented. So I don't care if you're buying an individual Hourglass blush or a palette. The pigment is insane to me. Like right there, I clearly went insanely overboard. I'm sorry. I don't even know what else to say. I have to apologize because I don't know what else to say. That's insane. So, but I mean, obviously you get the gist, that it doesn't take a lot and it's going to last you forever. So now the highlighter, and this is this highlighter right here, obviously. And again, like I said, this one is so much more intense than the other one. And really one of the reasons I bought this was because it looked like it had a little bit more of a cool tone bronzer option that was light, like my skin for the winter. It looked like it had some softer blush, and it looked like it had a more blingy, you know, highlighter, which I'm all about. So for me, this one was my color tone favorite of the two. But, you know, it's so up to personal preference. Again, I will never fault the quality of this. I will never say it's not worth the money if you can get use out of all the colors. If they, you know, as long as it's not something where you're like, oh, I'm going to use 2 out of those, you know, colors, and that's not going to help you. Because, you know, like I said, you can always take a brush here and kind of, any brush obviously, and just kind of like blend it all together, whatever you want to do. But just remember, don't be me and overplay your hand, because these are super pigmented. I guess I just forgot. And keep that in mind too, if you go buy an Hourglass single, they are worth the money. They're going to last you like years. And they stay. They do. I feel like these wear on me a long time. So anyway, I guess, you know, this is a plastic component, by the way, though. The top is metal, but the back is plastic. This one is all metal. So it is a much heavier component. So if you see these two are available, that's one difference to note. But in general, you know, I do think these palettes that come out every year, sometimes multiple times a year, the Ambient, this one, sorry, I didn't tell you what this one was called. This one was called the Ambient Lighting Edit Ghost Unlocked. And this one was called the Universe. Yes. Ambient Lighting Universe. But anyways, I do love them. I do feel like they're worth it. I should grab them more. I may put one in my bag now so that I can start grabbing them more, because I do think they look beautiful when they're on and you apply them right. Sorry, I'm like blushed like I look like one of the Golden Girls back in the 80s. that went overboard on this side. But anyway, but I do think they do a great job. They're beautiful palettes. They feel luxe. They're worth the money because they're going to last you forever. They last on, so you're not constantly reapplying. Oh, the one thing I did want to do and I did not. This right here. This one up here, right here. The set down powder. I'm so sorry. I'll put that under my eye to brighten and smooth. And this does have a blurring effect. I cannot lie. It definitely does that. It's beautiful as far as blurring if you have like, you know, and it brightens and blurs. So hopefully you can see. But I just don't use that as often as I should. I'm so used to my just 1, 2, 3 and out, you know, because I'm so used to my Laura Mercier set down powder. I get into habits. I think we all do. But anyways, you know, these are great. I love them. If you haven't gotten the new one yet, I have not, but I'm still debating on if it's available, maybe getting it, especially if I see a sale on Beautylish or Hourglass or something like that. I'm still debating on getting it because I collect them and I love them, and that's just who I am. And if it's still available and you're thinking about one, the good thing about this year's was it definitely did come in 3 different distinct levels of shades. So there was a lighter, a medium, and a darker. So that is wonderful that they are being much more inclusive. Thank goodness. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some kind of insight into the Hourglass palettes, the Ambient palettes, in case you are thinking about those, or the next time one comes out, you can say, okay, well, maybe it's worth it and I want to get it. So, or I don't, whatever, that's up to you. But also, I hope you will come back, and when you see that I have up the new Urban Decay thing, which is coming soon, I hope you'll check that out and let me know what you think. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. If you didn't, please, you know, don't. But do let me know if you have tips or hints or tricks, anything. I am definitely open to any help that you can give with a new channel here, trying to make things better and better content for you guys. So anything that you would like to share, I would love to hear. Any suggestions you have on things you'd like to see, I would love to hear. And let me know what you think about these palettes, if you've used them. And if you've got the Christmas palettes, any of those, let me know how those worked out, or especially if you have these, how they compared, because I'm interested to know, because I'm considering buying them and I want to know if I need to or I don't need to, or they're better, worse, what have you. So I'd love to hear from you. So hope to see you soon, and I hope you guys are having a great week and continue to do so. And see you later. Thanks. Bye.